to another Care Report podcast, bringing you insightful conversations with all things cyber. Today, we have the pleasure of bringing back Dante Jackson, Riza Angeles, and bringing Rel Pasquarello, another co-founder of the Care Report. Today, we're going to be adding Erica Watson, the CEO of Data Strategy Advisors. Erica has many years of experience working with companies such as GE Healthcare, Abbott, AbbVie, and she brings straight talk of how companies and individuals navigate new data economy. We're going to be bringing in conversations with AI governance as well. So good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well. Happy Tuesday.
Good. Thanks for having us back.
Happy to be here.
So, Erica, I'm going to ask you to elaborate. I know I gave you a brief intro, but you've got much more value than when I'm introducing you. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit on your intro.
Yes, thanks for giving me the space to do that. But yes, I've been in the area of data privacy and AI governance for over 20 years. I'm a trained attorney. I've been supporting these organizations and how they can utilize data for their business purposes in an ethical and compliant manner for many years. Currently, I am very busy with my boutique consultancy, Data Strategy Advisors, who's been helping companies turn compliance into a competitive edge. We've been specializing in AI governance, privacy, and data strategy, and just really helping companies to understand how to operationalize all the global privacy laws and emerging AI laws that they have to demonstrate compliance with.
We're excited to have you. We're going to get into it. This is perfect timing, being Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I'm going to just jump right in, if you guys don't mind. So we all know AI is definitely changing. And Ralph and I were just at a Secret Service cyber task summit, and we know AI is definitely becoming more challenging. And it's really a two-sided sword, if you will, for the good and kind of for the bad. But AI is changing how attacks happen. And I'm going to kind of push this out to you since you're the newbie, Erica. But how is, cyber insurance and governance changing with AI? What's your lens?
Oh, with regard to the risk, it's definitely increasing risk. Any organization that's adopting AI, and I think if you are an organization in today's world, you have to catch up with the times and adopt AI in your organization just to stay relevant and to stay ahead of your competitors. But what comes along with it is just a lot of risk because, as you all know, in order to develop an AI tooling or a solution, you need data. And typically that data is about people or about companies, which could be considered, company confidential. So there's a need to ensure that you have the right security, which is your space, right? That you have the right controls in place to prevent any leakage, that you've considered how you want to bring in that tooling, that you are communicating with your organization on what they can and can't do with those tools, right? What they can and can't put into those tools and what tools they can use. Like right now we have a lot of options. Everyone has a lot of options as to what tools they want to use, whether they want to use it for workflow management or, just to help them to create a PowerPoint or, just any purpose under the sun. There is an AI solution for that. And anytime you use those tools, like in this free space, you are giving away data. You're giving it to these organizations so they can continue to train their own models and provide a more robust solution for their client base. So there's the risk of losing your company IP or your trademark and your trade secrets, right? There's a risk of personal data being leaked where it shouldn't be, because we do have privacy laws around that. Right. And then of course, there is the risk of becoming over reliant, which is completely outside of the range of any laws. I think we're starting to see a lot of reliance on these tools. And there are studies that have been published over the last couple of months that talks about the degrading of the ability for people to determine and make decisions without having the AI tool near them. So the risk continues to mount in this space. And then with regard to governance, I think it's really, really important for companies to understand the need to have governance and what it is. And if you don't mind, I would love to just tell a little bit of a story. I was sitting in a conference room about a month or two ago, and I was sitting with the team as our research and development team. They had just finished building an AI tool. They were super proud of this tool because it could analyze medical data faster than any human team could do. But I asked them a question. I said, well, who owns the risk if this model misfires? Who's responsible? The room went silent. And that was a moment that just stuck with me because it really captured the gap we're all trying to close, the space between what can AI do and what should it do, right? So I think that it's important to make sure anytime that you are an organization, if all organizations need to consider, well, what controls do they have in place to make sure that there is, someone responsible, there's an owner, that someone knows what they're actually building and how it's trained, that, we have someone that owns the risk and who signs off on making sure that these things get put in place the right way. And then just the whole ecosystem, right? Is there someone that's watching the new regulations coming in, what we need to comply with? Hopefully that helps to bring the governance piece into a clearer picture.
It does. I'm going to throw this out to just not you, Erica, but to the team. So when Ralph and I were talking to the group last week, and we met with some seasoned execs over at Home Depot, and we call it the defense timing problem. So everyone says fight AI with AI, but here's some of the concerns we look at that. The A-powered attacks happen in milliseconds, but by the time your AI defenses respond, the damage might be done. So, guys, what are we seeing, and how are we going to be solving this problem? And you talk about resilience and rapid recovery instead of prevention. Thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts, but just to tie into what Erica had mentioned, I think anytime you talk about adopting newer innovation or new features, functionality, the cool gadgets on the car, so to speak, you always run the risk of just adopting that because it's the shiny new button that you want to press versus considering all of the other factors that we as risk professionals keep top of mind day to day, right? So how do you balance adopting a newer technology such as AI in a way that supports innovation, but also supports security? So I think that's, at least in my observations of the different conversations happening around AI, as well as your standard general person that presents your biggest threat vector, how do you balance all of those considerations?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think to add to that, Craig, I think the days of kind of jumping out of the plane and figuring out how you're going to land are kind of over, right? When and AI is really changing the landscape. I think prior in cybersecurity, when it came to tools and things of that nature, you got a demo, you did a POC, it looked good, and you kind of purchased it and jumped right into it. And I think now, without the proper policies in place and evaluations, you can't just jump into this AI space anymore, because as Erica mentioned, when you're dealing with true data and you're implementing AI and incorporating that into the whole equation of along with the data, you can have some real problems here. So, I mean, again, between the data leakage on the good guy side and the attempts by the bad guys to kind of leverage AI to get your data, you could be inadvertently helping them, right? And causing problems within your own environment just because you didn't do your homework, right? Or do the preparation that was necessary to incorporate this new technology.
So, Ralph, what say you with the insurance side of that?
Oh God. Craig and I, as you know, Dante, we have been attacking this from the beginning with, do people know, number one, what a cyber breach will cost, right? I mean, we always ask a CFO, if you know what a cyber breach will cost you before it happens, how can you defend that? And from the insurance perspective, AI is really, I believe, is going to throw a wrench into a lot of the policies and what's covered and what's not covered. Just because what Erica, like you were talking about data leakage and data exfiltration, and is that going to be covered under or denied from cyber policies? Is it negligence? Is it an insider, you know, whatever it causes that, a regular off-the-shelf cyber insurance policy may not cover that. And because of this, we may see policies come out that will be, not only manipulated, but changed to maybe standalone policies for AI risks that happen and breaches that happen just because of AI. So there may be standalone AI liability coverages or, again, addendums to cyber policies. So we're not seeing that yet, although, and Craig and I, we give a lot of presentations and we talk about the actual applications that people fill out, right? So when you have a cyber policy, you have to fill out a cyber application for that policy, but you also now have to fill out an MFA app. You have to fill out another application for ransomware. And I see it coming that you're going to probably have to fill out another application for AI. Are you using it? How are you protecting it? Limitations, et cetera. And it's coming because it is a big trigger right now, as you know, in the cyber industry and also with the insurance industry. So I think there are changes coming. I don't know what guidelines we're going to be able to put on there, but as things evolve, we all know, you unleash, like you said, you click on a shiny new object. Hey, everyone wants it in their system, but buyer beware, right? Like anything. So,
Ralph, can I ask you a question?
yes.
So are you following what's happened? Are you following what just happened with AWS? I can't imagine that you're not, because I'm sure you were impacted in some way with their major outage that happened yesterday.
Right.
I'm hearing whisperings that outage was a result of them replacing humans with AI. That they didn't have the same level of monitoring that needed to happen or that they had in the past. And the result of that decision is, probably billions in damages from, their clients that were unable to, provide the service that they need where they're relying upon AWS services. I'm just curious, does that factor, this fact scenario, would that fall into your assessment of what are the costs, right, when it comes to insurance in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it stems from an engineering mistake or an exploitation or whatever caused that, right? We always go back to the trigger with a cyber policy or any insurance policy. How did it happen? What caused it? And if that trigger is excluded or if it's a silent coverage in a policy, we're going to have problems. It's it's evolving, like way back when, 15 years ago, we talked about data breach and how cyber insurance policies didn't even exist. And it's all in flux. The underwriters that are locked in a cubicle with their head down trying to figure out, what are the exposures and what are the limits and how do we figure out how to price this, and for not only limits, but also for, what is it going to cost, right? So I don't know. It's yet to be seen how this falls out. We all know what happened with CrowdStrike, and I mean, CrowdStrike, there's no way they had enough money in an insurance policy to cover the damages that occurred. So with systemic outages and things that are being caused by not, with out of our control, right? It's out of our control, but someone has to be responsible for it. And where does that lie?
Yeah, Erica, you bring up a great point. I was one of the co-founders of Amazon Voice Pay, and I know that was down. Venmo was down. Fortnite, Snapchat, Zoom, Reddit, Coinbase, Robinhood, Ring. I could go on, probably another 24 companies. But I think those services have been disrupted as well. So where does that continuous down or outage affect from a fiduciary responsibility?
Right.
And does it really resonate in some of the reputation management with foundation of using AI, right? I think we all agree that this is kind of a scary time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think that for me, at least, that brings up one of my top factors when considering the use of AI and the risk associated with it is, conversations that are happening just out in the environment is the fact that companies are shifting a lot of their staff augmentation or resource processing and things of that nature to relying on AI. However, when you remove the human critical thinking factor that goes along with it, I think that in itself presents a huge risk, because you're seeing these things that happen in the wild, what happened with AWS. And if it's true of what the contributing factor was, that's a really scary thing, and something that organizations need to incorporate in their assessment of the use of AI is, what are the costs, and not just financial, reputational, operational, when you remove the human factor from at least overseeing the use of AI.
Yeah,
Completely
and
trusting it in its state is really scary.
yeah, Reese, I agree with you. And Ralph and Craig, I'll add to this. I think, what you see right now is two camps, right? You have the companies that are trying to leverage AI strictly to save money. And then you have the companies that are trying to leverage AI to enhance their cybersecurity posture, right? Truly enhance what they already have in place to include the human element. And I think as we are right now in this current state as to where AI is, I think those are the companies that win. That kind of balance that human element along with the AI to enhance their current security posture, versus the companies that are coming in saying, oh, we can just get rid of everybody because we're going to leverage this new technology and it's going to save us a bunch of money and we can just let AI do all the work, right? And then that's where you see these breaches, these problems, these incidents occur with those companies that have that mentality. So I think it's really an educational standpoint that we need to come to as thought leaders, as cybersecurity leaders, as consultants, as companies, right? Understanding what the technology does and how there has to be that true balance between the human element and the technology.
Thanks for joining us with part 1 of the CARE Report. Everything Cyber with Ralph Pasquarillo, Craig Sikowski, and special guests, Erica Watson, Dante Jackson, and Riza Angelis. If you like what you heard, then stay tuned for part 2 of this conversation, digging further into AI. We care, and you should too. For more great conversations, visit us on YouTube's CARE Report channel. We look forward to seeing you with part 2. Until then, I'm Madison. Thanks for listening.